There are moments in life that don't arrive like events. They arrive like verdicts. Quiet. Certain. Already decided long before you're allowed to understand what they mean. And sometimes, you only realize you were sentenced the moment you start fighting for your freedom. My name is Lauren Metcalf. I am 26 years old. And 3 weeks ago, my family tried to dress me like I was nothing. They just didn't realize I was already becoming something they could no longer control. It started with a suit. Not mine. Never mine. My mother shoved it into my chest like she was handing me a responsibility I had failed to earn. Crumpled. Old. 2 sizes too big. Her voice was flat, almost satisfied. Wear your sister's old rag. You don't deserve new things. Behind her, my sister Brittany stood perfectly still. Perfect hair. Perfect posture. Perfect life. A brand new designer suit hugged her body like she was born inside success itself. She didn't speak. She didn't have to. Her silence was trained confidence. Mine was survival. And that's when I understood something I had not yet found words for. In my family, love was not given. It was rationed. And I was always the shortage. They called me the burden. Not directly. Never directly. That would be too honest. Instead, it came in softer sentences. We're just trying to manage expenses. Your sister needed more support. Be realistic, Lauren. Don't aim too high. And over time, those sentences became walls. And I learned to live inside them. Brittany got everything that looked like a future. I got everything that looked like leftovers. She got the new car. I got the explanation why I didn't need one. She got a paid-off apartment. I got a reminder that I should be grateful for a roof. She got praise. I got expectations lowered until they disappeared completely. And I believed it. Because when a lie is repeated long enough inside a family, it stops sounding like deception. And starts sounding like identity. I was 26 when I finally applied to Ridgewell Creative. I didn't tell anyone at first. Not because I was hiding it, but because I was afraid of watching it get taken away before I even had it. But I had been building something quietly. Freelance design. Late nights. Cracked tablet screen. Self-taught everything. Typography tutorials at 2 a.m. Color theory is learned through trial and error. Failure after failure refined into something sharp enough to survive. And still, I heard her voice in my head every time I almost believed in myself. You don't have the discipline for something full-time. Brittany said that once at Thanksgiving. Smiling. Like she was helping me. My mother nodded like it was the truth. And I folded smaller inside myself. But I applied anyway. And I got the interview. And that's when everything began to shift. Because a decision like that doesn't just change your future. It exposes your past. Sunday dinner was the same as always. Same table. Same positions. Same hierarchy disguised as routine. My father is quiet at the far end. My mother was at the center like she owned the atmosphere. Brittany orbiting her approval like gravity itself. I'm somewhere between them. Visible enough to serve. Invisible enough to ignore. I told them I had an interview. My mother didn't even pause her fork. Oh, that's nice. Then immediately. Brittany just got another raise. Like my future had interrupted something more important. When I asked for a suit, she didn't look at me. She decided before responding. We already spent so much on you. You can use your sister's old one. And then, the sentence that split my life into before and after. You don't deserve new things. Not because I failed, but because I existed in a role where failure was expected, and therefore permanent. That night, she handed me the suit. It smelled like time, like something forgotten, like something not meant to be worn again. I pinned it together in my bathroom mirror. 7 safety pins. Each one felt like a compromise. Each one felt like obedience. And when I looked at myself, I didn't see a woman preparing for an interview. I saw someone they had already decided would lose. Until I saw the initials. Inside the collar. TM. Not Brittany. Not mine. My mother's. And suddenly, the story cracked. Because it wasn't even her suit. It was just another thing being reused. Like me. The day of the interview, I wore it anyway. Not because I believed in it, but because I needed them to see what they had created. A version of me stitched together with neglect. I walked into Ridgewell Creative carrying my portfolio like it was the only part of me that hadn't been rationed. And I met Donna Hale, CEO, founder. A woman who looked at people like she could see the structure beneath their surface. She didn't look at me with pity. She looked at me like recognition. And then, she took off her blazer and gave it to me. "Wear this," she said. Like she already knew the answer. The interview lasted 45 minutes. But the moment that stayed with me wasn't a question. It was her voice at the end. Quiet. Controlled. "I know exactly who put you in that suit." At the time, I thought she meant my parents. I didn't yet understand she meant something far more precise. Something closer. Something deliberate. Then came the discovery. The coffee shop conversation. Megan's voice. "Your sister works there." 3 words that rearranged my entire understanding of reality. Because Brittany had never told me. Never once. And suddenly her silence wasn't neutral anymore. It was strategic. I found her profile. Senior brand strategist. Ridgewell Creative. Perfect bio. Perfect story. A story built for my life. Community college. Struggle. Hand-me-downs. Working to support family. But none of it matched reality. Because I was the one who lived that life. Not her. She had simply rewritten it. And the worst part? She had been believed. Promoted. Celebrated. Rewarded for my history. While I was still being told I didn't deserve mine. Something in me stopped breaking that day. And started sharpening. I went to Donna. And I showed her everything. The screenshots. The messages. The patterns. And she didn't interrupt. She just watched. Like she was assembling truth from scattered fragments. And then she said it clearly. She built her identity on your life. And then, she tried to destroy you to protect it. That was the moment everything stopped being confusion. And became structure. The confrontation came later. Conference room. Glass walls. Nothing to hide behind. Brittany walked in like she owned certainty. She cried when necessary. She always cried when necessary. It was precise. Controlled. Strategic vulnerability. But the room didn't respond the way she expected. Because truth doesn't argue. It reveals. And Donna placed the evidence on the table like gravity. Enrollment records. HR files. Messages. My mother's confession in text form. And suddenly, there was nowhere left for her to stand. But the most important moment wasn't her collapse. It was mine. When I finally said, "That story is mine." Not loudly. Not dramatically. Just finally. Completely. Because that was the real ending of her control. Not exposure. Not punishment. But replacement. My story returned to its rightful owner. She left the room first. But she wasn't the one who lost the most. My mother called after. Angry. Confused. Defensive. But underneath all of it, something quieter. Fear. Because she realized something she never expected. The system she built didn't protect her daughter. It used her. My father said nothing meaningful. He never did when truth entered the room. And Brittany? She didn't apologize. Not fully. People like her rarely do. Because apologizing would require admitting they were never the victim they performed. But something still ended that day. Not just a job. Not just a lie. A hierarchy. A family structure built on distortion. Collapsed quietly under its own weight. My first day at Ridgewell as an employee wasn't cinematic. No applause. No announcement. Just a desk. A window. A laptop. And silence that didn't belong to anyone else anymore. I kept the cracked iPad. Not because I needed it. But because it reminded me. Everything I built while being dismissed still existed. Even if no one had believed it at the time. Months later, I understood something I didn't understand before. The most dangerous lies aren't the ones strangers tell you. They're the ones your family repeats until you help enforce them yourself. Brittany had not just stolen my story. She had needed me to believe it wasn't mine. Because without that belief, her version of success couldn't exist. And my mother? She didn't create the lie. She maintained it. Like a caretaker of someone else's narrative. But here is what they never understood. You can only compress a person so far before they expand beyond the shape you gave them. I used to think justice would feel like revenge. It didn't. It felt like silence. Clean. Unoccupied. Mine. And one evening, standing in my apartment, looking at a life I built without permission, I finally understood the truth. They didn't break me. They delayed me. There's a difference. And delay is not destruction. It is preparation. I don't wear hand-me-downs anymore. Not clothes. Not stories. Not identities. Not expectations. Not silence. Because the moment I learned the truth was the moment I stopped being what they told me I was and started becoming what I always was, without their permission.